The AE process was created by us here at Asperger Experts because it's based off of our own personal experience. This is what works because we have no choice but to make it work for our own lives. We have Asperger's, we're parents of people with Asperger's, and this is what we found is the stuff that really, really, truly, honestly works. The AE process has actually now been tested by over 10,000 people, and once you really learn it, you go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Of course it would work this way. It's something that's very simple and something that's very intuitively, yeah, of course that makes sense. It just works and it just fits. You can go through the AE process in any order that you'd like. The more components that you take off and integrate into your life, the better things will get. We highly suggest that you start with just whatever is easiest to you right now in the moment. There's going to be one or two things that as we describe and go through this list, you're going to say, oh, I can do that. That's easy. Whether that's joining our support group or getting out of defense mode or troubleshooting or whatever it may be, pick the things that are easiest to you and start there. So let's break down the AE process. It comes in 3 components, and the first main component is community and capacity. The main goal of the community and capacity section is to build resilience, because as much as you'd like to try, you can't avoid everything. It's just impossible to do. So instead what you do is you build resilience so you can be prepared for anything, so that no matter what happens, you'll be able to bounce back quicker. You'll be able to have a high amount of resilience so that things don't affect you nearly as long as they once could have. The next step is holding the space. And what that means is that you give yourself or somebody else the time and attention that they deserve so that they can just emotionally process. That doesn't mean to fix things or to change it. That just means to let it happen and hold the space for that. If you're working with somebody else, that means listening to them. Holding space with them does not mean let's fix it. If they complain, oh, I'm a freak, then you just say, okay, and you hold that space for them and you validate that. This is not the time to say, no, you aren't a freak. No, you aren't a freak. Let me fix that, and deny. If you're holding space for yourself, it's a time to give yourself the patience and the compassion that you deserve. The next section in community and capacity is getting out of defense mode. Defense mode is a state where you are shut down, scared, disconnected, and afraid of the world, withdrawn into a world of your own creation. And it feels like everything is attacking you, hence the need to defend, hence the name defense mode. And so until you get out of defense mode, nothing at all is really, really going to get better, because it's like taking a soldier in Iraq and saying, hey, I want to teach you how to knit. And they're like, great, I have more important things to deal with right now. So until you can get them to a safe place, you aren't going to be able to teach them much of anything. If you'd like to learn more about defense mode, go to aspergerexperts.com/defense mode. The next part of the community and capacity piece is setting up your support system. It sucks to do this alone. Please do not. You do not have to do this alone. With the advent of the internet and just the support groups that are around, there are support groups for Asperger's and autism everywhere. And if there isn't one near you, join ours. Ours is online and available throughout the world for anybody that just has an internet connection. And you can join at aspergerexperts.com/plus. That's PLUS. So the thing is that setting up your support system is essential. Not in the moment that you need it, but before, because there will be the time that you just can't, that you're just noping out, that it's too much. And to have that support system, whether it's via Facebook on your phone like our group, or via an in-person group that you can go to, or just somebody that you can call and say, life is not doing so well right now. I'm not doing a good job at lifing. I need some support. I need some help. It's almost impossible to get through this journey and succeed unless you have that support. So next we have establishing a self-care routine. You ever hear put on your own oxygen mask before assisting others? It's the same idea, because unless you are in a state where you are able to be calm and be the anchor for another person, then you're not going to be able to adequately help them at all. And with yourself, I mean, self-care is equally important just for you, because try doing anything when you're unhealthy. It's infinitely harder. So that means things like giving time for yourself. For me, I just take a hot bath once in a while. Giving yourself a moment to meditate and think about things you're grateful for. Giving yourself a time to, eat a carrot or eat some healthy food. Spending that time and giving yourself the focus and doing things for you. It is so important. It is honestly, you can't do life without it. Now, some people say, okay, well, isn't that being selfish? No, you're helping everybody else by doing that. You're not just trying to help yourself. By you taking a moment to take a hot bath and eat some salad, maybe not in the same place because that would be weird, but by you taking a moment to do those two things, you're taking care of yourself better so that you can take care of other people better. And for me, that would be a selfless act. And the last section of the AE process is building trust. That means being able to rely on yourself. That means being able to rely on other people. That means building trust in your environment, in your relationships, in your body, mind, and in your emotional capacity to handle the day. It's really no use having a support system if you don't trust them. It's really hard to get out of defense mode unless you're starting to build trust. It's really hard to connect with other people or do any of the rest of the AE process until you have started to build trust. And if you'd like to learn more about how to build trust, go to aspergerexperts.com/trust. The next big component of the AE process is culture and connection. That deals with the belief systems and the ways of being in your family life, in your home life, in your school life, in your work life, and your ability to connect with other people through communication, expectations, and having relationships with those other people, as well as relationships with yourself in your own life. The main goal of the culture and connection piece of the AE process is to create healthy environments. That means your own internal sense of self, your thoughts, the physical building in which you live, the relationships, the spaces that you inhabit at work and home and school, and creating healthy environments that support you rather than drain you, stress you out, and tear you apart. One of the big things that you can do is to change the environment that you are in. This is a big component of the second step in the AE process. And what I mean by changing your environment is I mean everything from literally changing and remodeling the house or painting a certain room a different color, all the way down to just moving to a different school or being homeschooled, to simply just, rearranging your house, to rearranging your own internal environment and pruning certain thought patterns and challenging old assumptions and saying, hey, me living in a state of constantly demeaning myself and degrading myself for everything doesn't really help much. The next part is co-creating expectations. That means setting expectations ahead of time of what's going to happen and establishing firm guidelines so that everybody knows what is expected of them beforehand. Not afterwards, not, clean your room. I thought I did clean my room. Well, that's not clean. Set expectations of what the word clean means beforehand. Set expectations of what it means to do their homework beforehand. Once you have these expectations, you need to co-create them. It isn't a dictatorial, you will do this. You co-create those expectations so that both parties and everybody involved is on the same page. If you'd like help with this, go to aspergerexperts.com/RA to learn about the responsibility agreement. The next part to the culture and connection component of the AE process is effective communication. Communication that is direct, communication that just simply works. On our website, we have a ton of content related to how to communicate with people with Asperger's appropriately. But I highly, highly suggest you just start with deep listening. And what deep listening is simply listening to the other person, not to fix, not to control, not to change, but just to let them emotionally process. Let them sort of, emotionally vomit on you if they have to. And you just sit there and you take that and you help them process through it. You don't try and change anything. You don't try and fix it. You just validate them and really, truly hear them. And finally, we have aligning your influence circles. When you look at the etymology of influence, it means any outpouring of energy that produces effect. So essentially, whenever you're trying to help somebody do anything or change them or get them to or assist them or help them to gain a new perspective, you are trying to influence them. And unless your influence circles are aligned, unless you are the emotion that you are starting the influence circle with is aligned with the big result, then you're never actually going to get what you want. In the world of influence circles, you can actually do two different activities, or you can rather do two same activities and get a different result based off of what your emotion is, what your motivation is, what your meaning and what your intent are. And you can learn more about influence circles at aspergerexperts.com/influence. And finally, we have the third piece of the AE process, and that is change. You know, there are three things that you really need for change. We're going to talk about how to do all the change in just a second, but there are three things you need before you can even do the change. You need to want it. I'm sorry, I'm not a wizard, neither is anybody else. They cannot make somebody want to change if they don't want to. It's impossible. Step 2, after you want to change, the willingness to change. You can want to eat healthy all you want, but if I put some spinach in front of you and you aren't willing to eat it, then all you do is want to eat healthy, you don't have any willingness to. And finally, there's the emotional capacity to deal with the change, because there will be some uncomfortableness and some newness, and you need to have the emotional capacity, meaning you need to be out of defense mode enough to be able to deal with that change. The main goal of the change section is really learning when should you change and how do you change, and it starts with course correction. Knowing when is it time to change course and when is it time to stay the course is so important, because I see so many parents, I see so many people with Asperger's making the mistake of going, it is actually working, but they think it isn't, so they try something new and end up screwing it up even more. Knowing when do you change course, where do you change course to, and how do you know when to hold the course is so utterly important. Now, it's obviously beyond the scope of this video to talk about, but as you start to understand getting out of defense mode and the other parts of the AE process, it becomes abundantly clear where you should change and where you should stay the course. Just go onto our website, aspergerexperts.com, and start learning, and that will become more readily apparent. The next step is coaching, because coaching is a great way to know if you should engage in course correction or not. Should you stay the course or should you change something? When you have a coach, they are able to have the perspective that you don't have, usually because they have been there before. Now, coaching is different than therapy, because therapy is you're broken, let's fix you, and coaching is, hey, everything's great, let's just figure out how to improve things a little bit. So as you help find somebody, or as somebody that is coaching with you helps find the different perspectives that work for you, you gain insights that would have taken you years, but instead they take an hour-long phone call with somebody, or sit down over Skype or in person with somebody. Now, sometimes if you do actually need to change the course, troubleshooting is a great way to figure out what is actually wrong. Just like if you have a computer that's broken, you need to figure out, is it the RAM, is it the hard drive, is it the monitor, what's going on here? In troubleshooting, you can do the same thing with life. Like, if your kid doesn't want to take a shower, you go, okay, well, is it the temperature of the shower, the water pressure, the soap, the towel, the temperature of the actual shower room? And you sort of dissect each individual piece and go from there. And then you learn, oh, okay, well, once we changed the soap out, he was fine. And then there's discipline, which when you actually look at the root of the word means to become a servant of. It doesn't mean control yourself and be able to do it. It means to commit yourself to that idea. To say, this is the thing that I am actually going to do, and then you follow through with it. Remember, wanting it, willingness, and emotional capacity. The discipline is the willingness to actually do the thing and make the change happen. And finally, we have the mechanics of life. Simply put, there is a certain recipe to life. It is an ABCD done step system. There isn't really any luck involved or something like that. There's recipes to follow. If you do the same thing in the same way, you will get the same result. And understanding that life is a mechanical system to a certain degree, and there are certain things that you can do to get to the same result, just like if I cook some chicken parm and I give you the recipe, you can make the same chicken parm because it is a mechanical system. Now, yes, I understand that people are people, and if you've met one person with Asperger's, you met one person with Asperger's, but the thing is that there's certain things that just apply across the board. Learning how to eat healthy, setting up your support system, getting out of defense mode, things like that. It isn't so much dependent on the person as it is just following the system. So once you understand that, that's more of a philosophical thing. But once you understand that, hey, there's a system to follow, you follow the system, you're going to get the same results. If you aren't getting the same results, then you didn't follow the system correctly. So for more on everything that I just mentioned, go to our website, aspergerexperts.com/process, where there's an entire breakdown of the AE process with links to everything you'd ever want to know about any of these subjects. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a great day.